Hmm. Well. Good morning. It's almost time, so we might as well get started. Let me text. Let me set things up. Hope you guys have been well. It's pretty early here in New Zealand. Just woke up. Now, let's see, I need to change up my VTuber avatar again because I was using the other one for the gaming channel. Yeah. There we go. Appreciate us. And Blender. Blender, please. Yeah, there we go. Looks like everything should be working. Yeah. So let me fix up the screen a little bit. For some reason, there's parts of it flipping out off the screen. I really wonder why that happens. Should be good now. So, for those who are watching, I hope you guys have had a good day, or had a good morning, or a good evening, or whatever. I think right now it's about, what time is it? Because I aim the stream to be somewhere like early evening in Europe, and it should be late afternoon in the US. So hopefully people can catch the stream. Now, I figured out that with my time zone, it's also a good time to stream around 11 p.m. locally, so which is around early in the morning for people in Europe. And I think it's early in the morning in Europe and late afternoon in the US, as well as being late in the afternoon in Asia. So that might be a better time, because waking up too early all the time is kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah, so I just had a leftover burger and some leftover Coke, just as a wake me up. Well, anyways, the stream, we're going to be talking about textures. I just want to follow up on the Taiho model, which we had a little bit of issues last stream. Let me pull her up again. I just load the PMX model to just kind of remind everyone of what happened. Yeah, so here's the model. And if you remember last stream, there was a little bit of an issue where the neck textures had like a really bad texture, and we figured out that no, it wasn't a bug. The actual model is, well, not actual model, but the model that was given is naturally that way. I'm sure that the actual model did not mean for this, but that's just how it happened. Usually this would be assigned a proper texture, you do the wrap process, you bring that in, and you do your thing. But because the textures on this next section is this way, we have to be a little bit creative. Now, yeah, shit like this happens every project. There's always a little hiccup like this. It's entirely natural. That's why I say that every single project is kind of different, because there's a little challenge for every project. Now, what I did to solve this problem was that I just deleted this and ran it through the wrap again, and did the whole torso thing. So previously I mentioned that if you if you have the what's it called, the extrapolation settings, I forgot the actual word for it. The program will try to generate the missing textures around gaps, and it'll smooth things out a bit. So that's what I was relying on. And so what I had was just something like let me pull it up. Let me load GIMP. Let me load the program. There we go. It was something like this, and I need to move this a bit closer. I'm not sure how YouTube would like that whole thing. So previously here, there was that thing that was a bit unsightly where the neck joint just the texture was taking up the space here, so I deleted that neck joint, and because that's not there, GIMP, Rep 3D just predicted, just kind of smoothed over and took over the blank textures with like what's actually there. Now, it's not 100% ideal, because what happened is that you had something like you had something like this. So now, because the gap is missing, there's no gradient coming down here. Now, I feel like the model itself was a bit of a kitbash. So even if the neck joint had the proper texture, this would have still happened anyways, because I think it's pieced together from several different models into one MMD model. So what happens here is that I might as well just go through what I do. You just go into texture paint, make sure the strength is maxed out, and then for the tools, make sure symmetry is on. You go into the blur tool and you just try to blur around the edges. Best case scenario, it'll blur really well, like it'll just kind of mix both parts together. But in this case, it's blurred slightly, but there's still a bit of a gradient. Now, it's not really a big deal in terms of VaM porting, because it's an actual plugin that will fix this issue even more ideally. I believe that's like a neck joint. I forgot the actual name. It's on the hub. It's like neck joint color mixer or something. I'll try to link it on Discord. And what that does is that it's an actual plugin where you load it into the look, you load it on the person, and it'll detect the texture between the face. Whoops, let me go to the face here, or the head, and the face, and the neck, and the plugin will actually work to blur the seams then automatically for you. So that's not really a big deal. But a lot of the times this will happen with MMD models especially, and sometimes with Koikatsu models, so you'll get this here because the textures are slightly different. So you just have to manually just use the texture tool to kind of blur in the lines a little bit. I also ran into this issue with Blender models, especially the Honkai ones, Honkai Genshin models. I'm not entirely sure why, but when you load up the base models, you export it, do the wrap thing. They have usually a really pale face, and then the body has like a stock texture, and so you also get this issue as well. So you just have to use what I did just now and just blur it in. Now, there is an alternative way to do this. is to bake your own texture. So to do that, you know, I'm gonna start a new Blender project because there's too much going on with this one. So one moment. Sorry if it's a little bit laggy as well. I'm not sure what's happening. I think my computer is trying to update, but I'm resisting the Windows update as much as possible because I know about the whole what's it called, CrowdStrike issue. So my computer's acting up a little bit. Now, okay, so we want to make our own textures, right? So first, when we do this, we need to sort out the UV maps because right now, I've mentioned this in the last stream, the UV map is like this right now, right? So you need to arrange things in such a way, or a collection of things in such a way that they don't overlap. Otherwise, when the program try to, I guess, like pass the texture onto this map, it will start over. Sorry. Is it showing this properly? It should be showing this properly. Yeah. So when the program cast a texture here when they're trying to draw the texture map, it will start overlapping and you'll get really chunky and it will not serve any purpose. So what you need to do is to sort out the UV maps, and this is a good refresher, I guess. So in VaM, there's 3 main UV maps, which is the facial area, the torso area, and the limbs, and secondarily the genitals. So we want to get the face first, and the face consists of the actual face, the lips, and the nostrils, and that's it. And I will create a new material group here called F for face, and I'll assign that. So you see if I hide that, that'll be there. And if you'd also notice down here, there's no overlap or anything, it's just one neat UV island. Next you want the torso, so it's the ears, the head, the neck, the torso, the nipples, and the hips. And you'll notice that it fits in very well. It's very neat and tidy. So I would call this B for torso, or B, or whatever. You can just name it whatever you want, as that makes sense to you. And then you have the limbs, which is shoulders, forearms, hands, legs, feet. Now you notice that there's this section here, and I have not selected like the nails. I want to do that manually in the way that I described last stream, where I use the UV maps and I just use that as like a stencil and color that in. I don't want to add that in because it will add imperfections around the edges. So I'd rather use the UV island as a stencil and add in the color that way. So I go back to her again and just make like, for me it'll be L for limbs. Right. So I'd select these. I'll press Shift D to duplicate, I'll press P and separate the selection. Did I do something wrong here? Let me go back. I think I forgot to select. So repeat this. Yep. And then I press Shift B to duplicate. Press P and separate. And we'll have a very nice shell here, which we can throw into Substance. If you don't want to support Adobe, it's perfectly fine. Though you could do this in Blender, but it's not super optimal, and I'm not entirely sure how to do that, but I'm sure it's entirely possible. Because you're mainly really just, especially for anime characters, you're really just dealing with two colors. But it's much easier to do it in Substance. And for myself, because I'm a creator, so I have a my Patreon's part of the subscription does cover it, so it's fine in my case. You could find wink wink a special edition of Substance 3D. That's entirely up to you. That's between you and God. You know, do whatever you want. But either way, this is what you're gonna need. Now, before we hop into Substance, we need to do a few things. We're gonna have to decide on which colors we need, I guess. So that involves looking at the texture. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up GIMP again. Here we go. So you notice that with anime textures, it's really quite simple. You have the basically the normal skin color, and then you've got some shading color. And in this case, it seems like the normal skin color is basically this color. And then the shading color is basically this color. Now there's this, and we would like to extract this if it's possible. But for now, we're gonna take this color as the normal base skin color. And then this is going to be the shading color, right? Sometimes it's a lot clearer, sometimes it's not. This is a bit less clear because they grayed out everything. Usually the areas around there is like the ambient color is quite clear. So, and you really don't want like this. It looks kind of alright, but you also have to consider that you know, the light is hitting the face. So this is really the this section here is really like the specular color, isn't it? Because the light's hitting the face, it's a little bit brighter than it really should be. So you don't really want to take this, because when you bring in the bright color and you bring it to VaM and there's more light hitting it, it's going to become even brighter. So we really want the as neutral skin color as possible. And to be honest, I'm actually considering this to be let me take a look around. Yeah, I think this is actually a normal skin color, and I guess I want to take this as the light color. I'll see how it goes. So I'm going to boot up Substance 3D now. And I will make a preset file for my Substance 3D, and I'll throw it up on my Discord as well. I'll set up for you guys, so you guys can just load it, throw your character mesh into it, and it should solve like 90% of your problems. So as far as making the skin is concerned, just throw in the mesh, throw in the colors, and you should be getting the same results. Now I do a little bit of like a little bit of extra editing afterwards. But it's something that I do, and it's a bit of an extra. You don't have to follow it, so I won't really add it into the guide. Yeah. So let me switch the scene around. Right, so this should be how it looks like when you open Substance 3D. And I'll open up an old project. I will take Arena. This was one of my more recent projects. I'm gonna save as a new project first. So you can see that I took the shader. I'm not sure if Glitch is going to watch this. Glitch, if you watch this stream, if you want to join on, or if you're gonna watch it later, you've asked me how I've done this previously, so I guess here we go. You use the Dota 2, or at least I like to use the Dota 2 preset for Substance 3D. It's a built-in preset. It should just come with Substance, and I like to use it because Dota 2's textures are quite cartoonish. It's quite anime-like, so I find that as a good preset. Excuse me, my throat's getting a bit dry. And then you can see what I did. I just used the two colors, which is basically a lighter color and a darker color that I took from the textures, and I just put that into here. I used the darker textures for the base skin color, and then I'll have the settings here. So these settings should be shifted around to your taste. But these are the settings that I like to use. These aren't too static. Sometimes I will change these around just depending on how shiny I want the character to look. Some characters do have like a different gradient to their skin, so I will shift this around, but I will save this and share with you guys. You guys can play around with it. Yeah, so I'm gonna throw this on. Let me save it. So the mesh that you just made on Blender, just name it like texture bake something, or this is not important. It doesn't feed into anything. Just make sure you can recognize it. And from my folder, I'll just drag it into here. And I'll press OK. And you notice that the mesh is now here, and they will now apply the colors and cast it onto this mesh. And I'm going to go back to GIMP. Yeah, it's gonna take a little moment. I'm taking my time to decide what color I really want. So for the dark textures, I'll take the bit from the net. Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit more. I feel like that's a little bit more the actual skin color. I'm gonna just paste it here. I'll add it. So for all the dark parts, like this one will take some adjusting, so don't be too alarmed. Is that too light? No, that's the darkest part. That's reasonable, so I'll keep it. I might have to adjust a little bit of the gradient a bit afterwards, but I'll just carry on for now. And then for the lighter parts, I'll take the top of here. Which is quite similar. And that should be about it. I'm not sure what's going on here. Now, if there's some mismatches, you can just copy this. Just come down here, remove this, and then paste it here. And it should match, but it's trying to do... I love it how every time I do a stream, something entirely different. Something just happens. Oh, great. Nothing like troubleshooting in the middle of a stream, right? Is it the torso that's bad? Yeah, so it's just torso. I probably didn't change the base textures. As you can see, it's a little bit bright compared to what we really want. So first thing I do is to check the original textures again, check if that's the actual skin color you want, because that's really awfully bright. Maybe I should take it from this darker portion. See what happens. I mean, it kind of looks alright. I feel like it's a little bit too dark, so I'm gonna test around. Yeah, looking back at the actual textures, I feel like this might be a little bit too dark, so I'll just make some minor adjustments. You don't really want them this. Glossiness, you really don't want to touch that much. It doesn't really. No, I keep it. There. Yeah. Around 0.9. But I turned off my mouse, so it'll be something like this. Something like this will be a good base texture to work off. And then it's very simple. You go into File, Export Textures, find a good directory to save in, which is somewhere in your project folder. I'll just make up a new folder in the project folder called Baked. You can call it anything. It doesn't feed into anything else. Just make sure you recognize it. I don't think it really matters if you use 18 or 16 bits. And I'll just export it. And you will notice something in VaM as well, and this comes in later on when you piece everything together. And that's basically, you notice there'll be like a tree ring kind of artifact on your textures when you use really nice textures. And that's because VaM, I don't know why it does this. If your textures are too nice, it will actually cause an error in VaM where it thinks that I forgot what the actual reason was actually. It basically recognizes the texture as something else because it's actually too nice, and then it will try to compensate for it, which creates like this weird artifact. So what you need to do afterwards, and this comes way afterwards when you touch everything up, is to add noise onto the texture. And what that does is to create this imperfection on the texture, so VaM will actually look at it and be like, oh, okay, this makes sense, and then not do the extra compensation which screws up your textures. But I feel like I'm digressing. So now I'm going to open the textures and let me load that up in GIMP again. Now, well, now this is what we have. And this is the original texture, and it's close, but it's not quite there. So what you want to do now is to kind of color correct it. So I'll take a bit of the I'll sample from that texture, from the original texture again, and I'll try to colorize it. Oops, not colorize it, color exchange it. So what I'm gonna do is to pick a spot like here, and then enter in this here, and then do something like this. And make sure you save these ones. You add it on. So now once it's color corrected, you'd notice that if I compare these two, like the bits with the neck, like here, and the bits with her neck around here, the like minus the blush, right? Minus the blush, why is my mouse not appearing? Sorry, my mouse is not showing up. Yeah, around the main facial area with this main facial area, it should look very similar. It should look 90% the same. Now you can't get exactly the same. It's natural, but if you're missing chunks of textures for anime models, that's pretty much the best you're gonna do. Like this is gonna be as close as you can get, unless you know you run like MMD or something and then somehow replicate it. Now there are some facial features that you now have to try and grab, like these blush here. You want the lipstick, but you don't really want this, but it's gonna come along with it anyways, but we can fix that later. A bit of the nose shading, and then a bit of the eye shading. So previously we've done the wrap with the eyeline, so I'll pop that in now. Where's it? Here. Here it is. I'm gonna turn on symmetry while I'm out. Yeah, this is from the back. This is face. GIMP is lagging a little bit. Yeah. Just rearrange the order of this a little bit. Cut down the eye line a little bit. We only need... We basically just want like a bit that doesn't extend out too much as like a... almost like a base mascara. So when the eyelash clothing flips through the skin, or when something happens with VaM because it's finicky, there's like a base mascara kind of texture underneath the eyeline clothings to cover up any imperfections. Just clean this up a little bit. So you just want to take a little bit off the edge so it doesn't creep over essentially creep under the eyeline clothing, because that would look a little bit messy. So it should just fit underneath the eyeline. So just shave a little bit off here, shave a little bit off the top. So that's like mascara now. And now run back into here. I want the details here, so I'm going to go to colors, color to alpha. And it's going to make certain colors transparent, so I'm just going to click that. And you can see that it's already taking some of the colors and it's making it transparent. I'm not going to concern myself with the color up there too much. So I'm going to take away the whites. I'm just going to double check and see how much. Just grab a razor and just rub over it. Like if you can see stuff disappearing, it means that there's still a layer that you need to get rid of. So right now it looks fine. If you want to be really sure, just grab the selection tool and press this, and you know, there's a bunch of colors underneath here still, which I guess is fine. Grab so we try to clear out as much of this as we want, as we can. We really don't want any kind of banding like this, because if we put that and onto our texture, it's going to create some kind of weird like rippling effect, so we try to avoid that. No, stop doing that. Yep. Sometimes it's a little bit unavoidable, so we can keep that, but we want it to be as sanitized as possible. Is sanitized a good word for it? I'm not sure. But basically as clean as possible. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just running back, trying to make sure that I'm just doing undo and repeat over and over again, just to make sure that I have the parts that I really need. I actually might keep it like this for a moment. Sorry, I'm gonna blow my nose. I'm gonna mute myself for about 10 seconds to clear out my nose. Okay. So I'll just run with this for a while. I just want to see how it goes. So I'll export this as another file. So I'll just say face overlay. And then I'll start wrap 3D again. I'll load the overlay that I just saved. I'll use this side because I don't want any extrapolation. Yeah, I'll just call this whatever, just overlay. And I'll take a look at what's saved. And it's not looking too good. So if I put the overlay back onto GIMP, this is what it looks like. And it's not great, there's definitely a lot of cleaning up to do. Where's skip? Here it is. And usually in this case, you've got a few options. You can try to just dump that onto here. See how it looks. Sometimes things work out, you never know. Yeah, let me let the thing load properly. Oh, what's this? I need to delete this. Sometimes wrapping creates a bit of a weird artifact, so if you see it, just rub it away. Okay. So that's actually not too bad once you overlay it on top of the actual texture. Not too bad. I do have to get rid of this, so I'll just do that. The thing that you really don't want is like any kind of rippling, weird texture, but seems to be alright. And just to build it up a bit, because when you look at this is actually quite vivid. And that's just an easy thing to do. You just have to go into your project folder again and just keep copy and pasting until you build up a layer of that overlay. So the color becomes more and more vivid. So generally you just want 2 or 3 layers. Right, so you see on the second layer it's building a bit more. Yeah, I might delete this. Just for a reason, because I don't want to delete the thing with the chin again. Yeah. So this is looking alright. Now I believe that because there's some shading on the edges as well. Once you save that and apply it, there's going to be a little bit of a line on the neck again, just like what we had previously at the start of the video. So you will have to probably load this back up onto Blender and then blend or blur the edges together, but this way is much more manageable. Now this is just an alternative method of doing the whole texture for the body. Obviously I have like the proper textures. I have like I have this here that was exported from the actual texture, so you know, you don't really have to do this. But there will be situations where the model is incomplete. So when the model is incomplete, you won't have textures for the missing parts, right? So you will have to rebuild the textures. So you're gonna have to do something like this. You will have to rebuild it with plain textures. You can hand draw if you're very talented. You can do it in Blender. I just prefer to do it in Substance 3D because that's just the way that that's just how I figured out how to do it, and this is my way of doing it. So I'll just finish this up a little bit. There's a little bit more to go. Oh, if I do that, I'll color this in a little bit later. Actually, not later because I'm probably not using this, but this is really the interior of the lips, but it looks kind of bad in VaM. So what I usually just do is just turn it into like a lipstick section. Just turn on the grid again, and then merge down so it combines into one texture. I just take the lipstick color, something like this, just around here, do that. Make sure you've got symmetry on. Just do it like that. It's quite simple. It's quite simple, right? Man, I'm kind of sleepy. I'm not sure if you can tell. Yeah, just do something like that. You might need to do some adjustments after you check on VaM, but that's roughly how it goes. You just blur the edges. I'm not too caught up with a little bit of the dark sticking out. It just creates a bit of shading. It's fine. And once you do this, it basically goes away, right? And you're good. That's basically how you do the lips. Once again, you might need to adjust it a little bit, so don't save it and then close it. You might need to actually go back and edit it a little bit, because you never really know until you actually see it in the program. Now this overlay texture is the trick that I told you about last stream. It saves a lot of time, and this is why you want to standardize your porting process as much as possible, so that once you standardize a process, you know how to manipulate the results and make things much simpler for yourself. So in this case, I standardize how I do the eyes. So every time I use this particular overlay, it's going to cover up the same spots every single time. Oops. Go into here and just go. Oh, what's happening here? Why is it so transparent? It's supposed to be dark black. What's happening here? Did the setting change? Yeah. So make sure this is 100. Yeah, so now it's solid black. Good. What I guess happened was that I probably used the scroll wheel. This went over it when I was scrolling down. The scroll wheel hit the bar there. I really don't like that. It's a little annoying feature that makes me extra paranoid whenever I do something. Because you're always scrolling with your middle scroll wheel, and making it so that it accidentally changes things. It's just, I don't know what they're thinking of. I'm going off on a tangent here, but I feel like people don't really test out features nowadays. Which is probably why the whole issue with Microsoft recently just happened. People just do their work and they don't proofread it. And then people are going to say in the comment section, oh, well, you always make mistakes when you do your releases. And my answer is bite me. Yeah, I'm doing this as a hobby, so don't put too much on me. Sometimes I'm just sleepy, you know what? Speaking of which, I need to take a drink. So this is alright. I'll save us. Like, I'll give it an alternative to file name, and then I'll just save it. I'm just gonna wait for this to save. While it's waiting, you can't see it. Can you see it? No, you can't see it. It's on a different menu. It's being saved. But it's halfway being saved. These are larger textures. They're baked textures. They're a bit larger. They've got more information on. So GIMP is gonna do its best to speed up the saving, but it's gonna take some time. Alright. And we're gonna open up the body textures. I'll just show you guys how it looks. Ignore that. So these are the limb textures. These are the body textures. You don't really need to do anything about them. I'm just showing it to you. Now, the bits with the nipples. I've got some decals. I should be releasing a decal pack today. I have some alternative decals for the nipples, so you can just throw that on here onto VaM under the decals on the torso. I should cover this up, so I don't really need to do any texturing here. The bits with the head and the ears, they're baked in already, so I don't need to copy paste anything. When you do the genital textures, the butt part's gonna be around here, so you just need to take this color here and add it here. I showed you guys what to do last stream, so I'm not gonna go over it again. And now the limbs, the bit with the nails. I'll go over this again because I need to do that now, might as well. So for the nail colors, you can go to the actual textures and take the nail colors if you want. For me, it's not really too important, so I'll just pick a color that works. Right. Oh, before I do everything, let me colorize this. So I'm gonna have to go into colors, map, color exchange, go into here, wait, it did not save it properly. Yeah, so just colorize everything. No, let me do that. I should have done that at the start. Exchange this color. Okay, and I'll take this bottom color. Yeah, do this at the start next time, like for all the textures, so GIMP won't have a excuse to forget everything. Forget the colors that you saved. So I'll do this again. That's a big oopsie on my part. This to save it. Okay. And then add this on here. Press OK. Put the thresholds to 0.15 around there. About 1.2 to 1.5. Yep. And you do the same with the torso as well. So colors, map, color exchange. Okay, this is a little bit irritating because GIMP is not saving the colors that one is. They just told it to say. But we're lucky it's fairly standard. So, I mean, the color shading is fairly standard, so it shouldn't be much of an issue. Yeah. So I'll just say this as torso D2. Saving. Now, back to the actual subject, this is with the nails. I'm not too picky with the nail color, so usually I'll just pick a color here somewhere. Or, let's say here somewhere. I just fill this in, use this as a stencil. Fill this in. Use this as a stencil. And that's it. Oh, I need to broadcast a stream over to some people on Discord. One moment. Yep. So that's the texture is pretty much done here. All you have to do is, because there's some shading here, there might be a small gradient around the neck. So just grab that, put into Blender, load the textures, do the blurring, and you're pretty much good. Those are your custom textures. So this is an alternative way to do it. Oh, hey there, Kuro. Hey there, Dying. How are you guys? I'm happy that both of you guys are on right now because you guys live in, I'm pretty sure one of you is in the EU and one of you is in the US, and I specifically picked this time on the weekend to try and cover as much of the globe as possible. My mouth is running dry. Yeah, it's kind of early in the morning for me, still trying to wake up. Okay, so the next part. Oh, by the way, how are you guys? You guys playing games? Playing computer games? Alright, so moving on. We are going to do the CUA assets. And by CUA assets, I mean... Let me close this. I mean stuff like the hair, so you have glasses. Actually, let me load this instead, because those are the finished products. I need to show you how to process this a little bit. So you load the hair and the glasses from previously. Wait, where'd it go? Load the glasses. Alright, so first thing you need to do is scale this. So I believe this is about 8.3. This is a scale that we loaded down previously and just apply all transforms. This is 8.3 as well. And if you named your file after the scale, you'll know straight away. You don't have to, open up the thing to look at any notes. Just name the file as that scale, so you can just look at the file name. Now you scale the armature, but you need to scale the mesh as well. You see all that? So you need to press Ctrl A as well, apply all transforms. So now it's done. Now, oh, you're playing First Descendant. You're really liking that game. You spent more time playing First Descendant than Helldivers? Is it that much better? So, this is a more technical part, and I explain why. Okay, so you notice that with this texture here, there's a blue part, and the blue part are the faces of the mesh facing outside. So when the engine renders, it's going to, what this does is tell the engine to render this as like a shadow. Like it'll be darker, and then this will be the outside, it'll be brighter and glossier. What happens is that if you put this into Unity, Unity does a thing where it tries to save processing power by going like, oh well, this is facing on the inside, right? So people don't see that. So what we're going to do is make this invisible, which is completely horrendous, because what happens is that when the hair is moving, it'll start glitching like out in and out of visibility, and it just looks really bad. So what you want to do is to basically click this, open up the mesh, you duplicate it by pressing Shift D. Go to normals, which is what this is, the vectors. So go to normals and flip it. Right. So now you have a identical mesh sitting on top of the original mesh, like in such a way, so that now you have two sides, and they follow exactly the same rig, so it won't affect the movement or anything. It'll be completely identical to one another. So now you won't have you won't have like parts that go invisible. Dying. I do want to play that game, but I'm really worried about the money you have to spend on it. Like, how's it pay to win? Because I've heard stories about that. Kind of just briefly, I want to play a game that looks good and not spend too much money on there. I'll probably try it out this coming week. I plan to do more streams, maybe later in the evening. I'm thinking of maybe switching my weekend streams to around 11 p.m. my time, which is, let me take a look. What's 11 p.m. my time in Washington? Yeah, so 11 p.m. my time would be around 7 in the morning. So, I mean, if you wake up, you can still catch the stream. And then it's France time. 11 p.m. in France would be 1 p.m., which is in the afternoon, which is reasonable on the weekend as well. And in Japan, it's 8 p.m. in Japan, and in let's see, because they used to work in Hong Kong. I know it's 4 hours back, so it's about 7 p.m. there as well. So I think another good streaming time would be around 11 or 12 p.m. in New Zealand. So I don't have to wake up too early. So I'll try that next week, because waking up too early is a bit rough on a Sunday. Alright, so moving on. I'm not gonna get distracted. I have to do the same thing with the glasses, because you'll notice that there's like an inner layer, like the backward facing layer and the forward facing area. But I'm gonna do another thing as well. So I'm almost 100% sure that the lenses won't render properly. So I'm just gonna take that out. What's it doing? Yeah. So you'll notice that's like there's these bits here. Excuse me. So you do the double layer thing again. So just select everything, Control D. Mesh, normal, flip. Yeah, and then save it, and that's done. And you throw that into Unity. So I'm gonna open up Unity now. Oh, you're trying to be here, Kuro? Thanks. Yeah, I do want like as many people on as possible. I mean, it's not like a huge dream or anything, but it's nice to have people in chat. Yeah, so I'm gonna open up Unity. I'm pulling this up on OBS now. So in the corner, you see the Unity menu. I'm gonna make it a little bit larger. So just to explain things, you need a very specific Unity version, and you see this here. Make sure you get this version, and I believe I linked that on Discord, because this is a Unity version that VaM runs off. If you use any other versions, I believe whatever you make would be invalid. It won't load into VirtuaMake. So this is my file. It's huge. So I just made a smaller preset file. I should still have all the same settings. It's a bit sanitized. All the paid stuff is removed. It's not important anyways. So just grab the file that I linked to you guys in Discord. It should be in the mega folder. Put it anywhere, just press open, and then find the location and just load it. It will take a while to load, so let that run for a little bit. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, actually it didn't take too long. Open up in OBS now. There we go. And let me get to screen. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna move chat to the other corner. There. Stay there. Now, I'm gonna have to explain a few things, because this is gonna be a bit new to some people. Yeah, what's this here? So normally, if you follow the guide, you have to fiddle with a bit of settings to make sure that everything will render for VR. Basically, switch it to like a VR mode, switch it to certain rendering modes and all that. I should have that done for you, so you won't have to touch anything. You just have to load this up. And don't touch anything here, but I'll just explain it. These are the physics settings for the hair, basically. These, basically when you load the hair, you have to, there's a preset default that it comes with for the slackness and rigging, all of that. I explain that later. So you notice that each one of these has their own setting. So this is the default one that I use. This is stiffer because you notice that the slack is a lot less actually. And this one's a lot more. And this is a little more. And then there's the prefab. So basically when sorry, I have some gas. So basically when everything's done, you pull it into the prefab, and then you go to Windows, Asset Browser, and then you drag from the prefab to here, and then you press build. So I explained the whole process. I'll run through this now. Go to the import folder, make a new folder. So name of your character. So this would be Taiho Summer. Just open it. And then the XBX files that you just saved. Let me try and find it. Folder's a little bit of a mess. Where are you? Somewhere here. Come on. Yep. So I just throw this into the folder here. And you notice all of this. So the first thing I want to do is to check the hair. So I just drag the hair out to here. Scale it correctly. And normally you have to scale it down to around you need to divide it by about 100. So if it's 1, it becomes 0.01. If it's 100, it becomes 1. Then you select all of this and press extract from prefab. Select this, just select the colors a bit. So it should look something like here. Double check that all the facing's gone, so there's no invisible bits anywhere, so it looks alright, it looks pretty good. I'll grab the textures. I believe this is the texture. Let me load this one. Yep. So those are the textures. Now the textures work, and next you'll have to do the physics. And Mr. Glitch, if you are watching the stream, you've asked this a few times, so here we go. I know he's not stream right now, he's probably going to watch this by himself later on. Previously, the default rigging, the physics, is a little bit stiff, so I like to use this one now. Just pull that into here. And then, yeah, you want around 5, as many as possible. Like if you've got a bunch of extra rigs, just, you know, you can increase it to 10. I just do that out of habit. And then look through here. This is Japanese or Chinese for head. I just dump this in here. And that should be like an outline for your rig. And you want like colliders, right? So this is around 0.3. So you can see now how this is building up. So this is the middle of the head. This is the bones, the rig of the head coming down. And they're all attached to each other. And so we want to test how this really works in game, or as close as possible. So we just press play. And we let it load a little bit to do a little demo. And we press scene. And we basically just move this around, right? And make sure nothing too wild is happening. It's a little bit disappointing that there's no rig for the little wiggly bit up here, but it is what it is. That might deserve a little bit of double check. I'd rather there's a little wiggly up bit. That would be really nice. I like it when I have that because it's kind of cute. But if there's none, then that's just how it is. Actually, no, I'm gonna load up the PMX right now. I'm gonna load up the MMD and see if I can get the wiggly button. I just need to double check because it feels like it's missed. Like, it kind of feels like it's a bit of a travesty, right? You know, that wiggly bit, you know, in Japanese what's called? It's called a hoge. And then you get people messing up the definition and start calling it an ahigo. And I'm like, no, that's something else entirely. It's an ahoge. No, it looks like they were a little wiggly, but it's kind of stuck there, so too bad. I'm looking at Blender right now, by the way. In case you don't see what I'm doing, I just back in Blender loading up the thing really quickly. So back to Unity. This whole thing looks good. It's very nice and standard. Sometimes, if there like on quite a few occasions, especially koikatsu meshes, I mean with rigging, like the whole base of the head will start moving. So what that means is that you need to cut certain bits out. So you go into here, start depth, and you start increasing this, right? So the more you increase this, you notice that more of it starts disappearing. So you basically want to make it so that this section here is basically cut from the physics, if that makes sense. So once that's cut off, then it'll stop wiggling. Yeah, it's a bit of a bad joke, Kuro. But I've honestly seen people on like Facebook getting the terminologies confused, and they're like, oh my god, Saber's ahigo is so cute, and people are like, what the fuck? And what they really meant was her wiggly hair. Something else entirely. It's something else entirely when you missay it. When you use the wrong terminology. I've seen that happen so many times. It's not. Yeah, so glasses. I thought I removed the lens. Let's do a little bit of testing. Now make it fade. Get out. Okay. I'll cut out the lens later, but I'll just show you the process now. Now I need to find the texture for it. Which I suddenly cannot find. So I'll need a moment. Check the file names. CMN. God, what's it? CMN. CMN. Oh, okay, that's just that texture. That's really strange for a texture. That's... Are you sure that's correct? I'm gonna have to go on Google. I don't believe that's the actual color for that. Oh, Okay, so those are her glasses. That is her color for her glasses. Alright. Okay. And texture's called C4. Alright. Yeah, it's just like that. I wasn't too sure about the shading here, but apparently that the color does match. So if I want to, I can maybe give it a little bit of metallic. Maybe not do this, but I mean, not do this, but that's the wrong one. Is that the wrong one? Wait, so was the first one correct? Okay, the first one was correct. And I just bring it down to around 0.3. You don't want to overkill it. Alright, so to extract it, because everything here is now done, we pull this into prefab. Go to Windows Asset Bundle Browser, and then you pull that into here. Let me check OBS, because I feel like that window's not popping up. Yeah, it's not popping up. That's not good. It's not showing up on OBS. Let me see if I can fix that with another capture window. One moment. Sorry about this. I might need to do a Windows capture. Oh, Kuro asked if the glasses and the hair are two CUAs. Yes, they are two CUAs. There is a hair here, which you can, I'm turning on and off, and the glasses are they're separate CUAs. Sometimes they are combined, and basically if I can separate them, I will separate them. But there are times where if you take away the glasses, for example, there's like nothing underneath. There's no hair, or it's just flat underneath and looks really bad. In that case, I will keep them together. I'm just trying to figure out, because I have to pull a window out, and there are some settings right now, and OBS is not letting me display that. I'm trying to figure that out right now. Not sure why it's doing that. Yeah, let's do a Windows capture. Wait, Sucrose? Sucrose's hat? Kuro, send me a DM on Discord to remind me. I feel like her hat should be able to come off. I can't remember correctly. If it doesn't, I'll let you know. But if it can, I will separate that for you. Oh, you can remove her hat? Like in VaM or in Genshin? Oh. Oh, in that case, it's like a Genshin thing, because that uses the Genshin meshes. So it just means that, yeah, that's just how it is in game, and there's not much you can do to fix that. I mean, maybe we could find some her for her on Koikatsu where someone does fix the, someone did like model what's underneath. I'm not sure though, because the good Koikatsu ones, they do just grab the official meshes, which in that case will just be the same. Yeah, just give me a moment. I'm trying to fix this thing right now. I'm gonna turn this on. And you guys should be able to see us now, right? Yeah, I'll repeat the process. So you go to Windows Asset Browser. You drag these in from the prefab folder. If it tells you to like correct the normal map texture, just ignore that. Go to Browse, Taiho Summer, Asset, select Folder, and edit build. Just press that. It's gonna take about, for me it takes about 2 minutes. If you've got a weaker computer, it might take up to 5, depending on how many textures there are. I'm gonna turn this thing off now. Yeah, just send me a DM, Kuro, just remind me of it, and I'll try to look into it. Right now the asset bundle is building, so I'm waiting for Unity to do its thing. Oh, it's done. Okay. That's a little bit quicker than I expected. So now I can quit Unity, save the project, close it, and I will show you guys the folder where it's saved. There's one more thing you need to do. Let me play around with OBS. Alright, so let me put chat back. Oh, let me put chat back in the right place as well. Yeah, just put it here, and then I'm gonna fix this. There we go. Oh yeah, sure. No worries. And now you notice this here. Let me switch back to it. And you notice there's a DLL file and then the files that you just saved. What you need to do is to go into here and change the file name. Do this. And this DLL file, what it does is that it runs a physics script on anything with the rigging. So you won't need that for the glasses because their glasses has no physics. It doesn't wiggle or anything, but your hair does. So what you need to do is just to press F2, grab the name, and just copy paste it. If you've got more like stuff like hair, like you've got other accessories, you can just copy paste it and then just rename them. In any case, the the CUA is now done. So later on the next stream, I'll teach you guys where to place these files. It's very simple. It just goes into custom and asset folder. But I'll do everything at the same time next stream. Question from Kuro. Now you did texture and CUA, the full tutorial is almost complete. Yes, the full tutorial is almost complete if you just want the naked bodies. There is one more, which handles the hair, I mean, not the hair, the clothing. So the clothing can be the most simple or the most complicated part of the actual process, depending on how complicated your clothing is. If it's just like a bikini and all that, it's just going to take about an hour or something. But if it's like a full suit of armor, it can probably take like 12 hours. So it really depends, right? Yeah. And so the stream tomorrow, I will try to put everything together, and depending on how that goes, it could be like a 2-hour stream, or it could be like a 5-hour stream, in which case I might split that off into several parts. The clothing has I'm trying to make a metaphor here. Like the way VaM imports clothing, it's got like a mind of its own. Yeah, VaM has a mind of its own when it does the clothing, and so there are like kind of like rules that you have to follow, otherwise things will just mess up. So yeah, that's about it for the stream. I've done the textures. Well, the alternative way to do textures, I handled the little issue from the last stream with the neck, just to explain how I fixed it. I'll do other streams as well, right? Of putting other models. So you'd see like a more streamlined way of doing it. So just be running everything through quicker, quickly, just so you guys can have more of a baseline to follow. And we also covered the CUA assets, and the way that we did the CUA assets is basically how you do 99% of CUA assets. You either have ones that wiggle and ones that don't. So that's how you do it. and then next stream we do the clothing. We prepare the clothing. We pray to the machine spirit that it imports correctly, and then we place everything together in VaM. There's a little bit of prep to do for that. I'm a little bit wary of opening Virtuemate on a live stream, so I will need to make like a sanitized scene with like no textures and all that, and then maybe cover up a bit. And then that will be about it. I'll give you guys some tips on how I arrange the eyes and everything. It's quite simple. And that should be about it. And then after I do like the guides here, after I just do a basic run through, I will do a specific live stream on how to handle some Koikatsu ports. I will do a few live streams on how to handle some Honey Select 2 ports, because how you start is a little bit different. The step 1 for those is a bit different. And then I'll just do a few live streams of me handling other models without going through with the explanations. So hopefully you guys can just have more things to reference. Hope VaM 2 will be easier. Yeah, is there an expected release date for VaM 2? Because I heard that there should be like a beta coming out in October. I'm not in the community anymore. You know what happened. But I've heard stories about, I'm not sure if this is confirmed, but I have other creators telling me that there's some drama going on about the beta build being delayed, so it might not be October. But some people have told me that it would be October for the beta build. But either way, it would really depend on how many modders will jump onto it. In theory, it's a lot simpler because they can run on Genesis 8 models, or like a version that basically you have more models to draw from. Like Genesis 8, there's a tons of models that works on Genesis 8. So there's less work to do, I guess. Yeah, so there's a bunch of Genesis 8 models that's available already. So hopefully it's more in line with the current market. But yeah, the date, I don't know, because originally there was supposed to be a test build out, like a polished, I won't say polished, but like a very usable test build that was due to be out this October. But I was told that it might be delayed again. And then there were people who were basically, I only heard about this because people were getting banned because they were complaining that VaM 2 was taking too long and they got banned. and then they just came to me and they started bitching. That's just yeah. I have no proof on this. It's just what people told me. I'm not in the Discord anymore. But I do hope that VaM 2 does come out soon, because I have heard that there's a lot of improvements on that. In my mind, like a VaM 2 with like a nice AI plugin like Voxter will be very nice, because VaM 2, what I'm actually quite happy with VaM 1 right now, but the issue is really the performance. It's not too well optimized, so you need a rather beefy computer to run VaM 1, and even then, it still lags a little bit. I mean, right now I have a pretty beefy computer, and it sometimes still struggles on VaM 1. So hopefully, with VaM 2, the performance is better, so we can run AI models better on one computer. And then, yeah, that's basically the dream, right? Yeah, because the issue with the plugins is a big one. Because imagine VaM 1 without any plugins. You won't have like the CUA here. You won't have like any of the like the expressions. You won't have like the timeline and all that. And I heard recently that some of the modders who made the mainline mods for VaM 1, there's been a bit of drama. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but I've heard it's got to do something with the moderator. And I just hope that nothing happens, so that when VaM 2 comes out, a lot of things just get moved over. Because VaM 2, I heard, runs on a more recent version, like a more recent engine, so there are more people who are who know the framework, I guess, and I guess it's easier for people to just convert the plugins for it, because it's a version of VaM that's running an engine that more people are familiar with. I need to get some water. My throat is drying up. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, so as I was saying, yeah, it really has to do with the plugins. And there also might be an issue where you see in Koikatsu and Honey Select, where even though a newer game came out and it looks better with better performance, it's just because one software is more developed in terms of the modding community and they just don't want to move. Because, like, for example, Koikatsu, right? There's a new version that came out recently. Not a new version, but like a similar game that came out recently from the Illusion stuff that formed their own company. And technically, it's a better game. It's basically the same thing. And I think it's technically the same engine, like with new rendering software and all that and better support. But because Koikatsu's been around for... has it been 10 years now? It's got all the plugins and everything, and no one wants to move to the new game, and the new game just died. Oh, not Sunshine. It's called... Let me take a look. The whole story was that the Illusion company died, and then the staff basically formed their own one. Like another one. So is it called Honeycomb? Yeah, it's called Honeycomb. And it's made by the Illusion people, and it looks a lot like Kiss 3D games. Like if you play custom-made 3D, it looks quite similar, except it's a lot more customizable. And looking at the screenshots, it actually looks incredibly good. Like the hair shading and all that, it's definitely a step up from Koikatsu. Oh my god, dude. Fuck's sakes. I hope I don't have to download that because I don't have another like 100 gigabytes to... The hair looks so much better though. Oh man. But yeah, basically it's not dead, but it's just not a lot of people... not a lot of people throwing their plugins there. It's probably going to slowly build up, but that's always an issue when you're doing like a second version of the thing. Oh no, Kuro, I am not gonna throw that up there. I am not gonna throw that up there, it's not safe for work. Just find the Koikatsu Discord, and then there's a channel called Honeycomb Data Creation. It's open, so you can just take a look. There's like a bunch of characters in there, and you can check out. It's mainly just the hair that looks a lot nicer. The hair looks like a step up from Koikatsu. The facial textures look around the same. It's probably the same engine but updated, but the hair looks really nice. So that's going to be the main issue with VaM 2, I feel like, is just how many creators want to jump on. I mean, if it's like a big thing, if it becomes really popular, people can make money off it, then I'm sure there will be people popping on there. But it's like a chicken and an egg thing, because if there's no plugins on there, then people don't pop in there. They rather stick with VaM 1 because of the lack of support, then people will just stay on VaM 1. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult situation to handle. But I do hope that they do release VaM 2 soon. I will be quite keen on checking out the performance and all that. And I guess it looks nice in general. And in terms of what it means for me, personally, when VaM 2 comes out, not much. Because porting to Genesis 2 is different, but it's kind of the same. It's just really how they do the eyes and all that. Because there's an eye socket mesh behind the eyes for the later Genesis models. So it'll just be me taking the base mesh and then wrapping that around. It's basically the same process, except with like an eye socket this time. I guess I have to change like the version of Unity for the CUA as well, and change how I do the texture mapping, but that's about it. Like by and large, the process will be about the same. So if you guys can figure out the concept of this porting, of this whole porting thing, then you should be fine. Yeah. Let's see. Any news that I want to do? Might as well. Not much. I'll be doing some gaming streams more often, and I'll be doing some more just casual prepping streams, like porting streams. I might even not put that on my schedule. I'll just be popping up online, and I'll be like, yeah, I got commissions to do, so I might as well just live stream that kind of stuff. Or if I want to play some games, I'll just pop into my gaming channel, and I'll just be like, yeah, whatever, it's War Thunder time, or I want to play First Descendant. I'll just do some of that. There will be some scheduled content. So, for example, this week I live streamed about 4 times. This coming week I might do an extra day of gaming, and then late at night, because late at night I have more time. And then do the usual porting streams on the weekends. Yeah, I mean, we can try playing First Descendant together. I think Dying, he plays that game too, so if we can find a good time, we can do a party and all that, and kind of force him to carry us. I mean, I do want to play that game. I try not to spoil myself with games that I do want to play, but I know Nixon, right? It's a Korean Nixon game. There's probably some pay to win shenanigans involved, but if the gameplay itself is kind of fun, I don't mind spending a little bit of time in it. Sometimes you just need to do brain dead things to clear the mind a little bit. Not exactly brain dead, but you know, just non-complex, just shoot shit, right? That's the same reason why I play War Thunder, but that game gets really frustrating sometimes. And I mean, in terms of other content for the gaming stuff, I do want to do, I actually wrote a bunch of games down. I might do a bit of Monster Hunter. I want to do Monster Hunter with a controller because I don't like with a keyboard, it feels a little bit weird. So I might try that with a controller. I need to finish Armored Core 6. I will probably do Stellar Blade near what's this other game I wrote down? Bannerlord, Mountain Blade, Yakuza. Yeah. Oh, did they do that? They made things easier? Because, yeah, the grinding thing was the thing I heard most about from my workmate. I had someone else telling me about it in real life, and they were telling me it was a bit of a grind. So if it's easier, then it's good. Elden Ring? Yeah, of course, Elden Ring. I have Elden Ring on my PC. I just haven't bought the DLC yet. I have to do... Oh yeah, I also have to do Space Marine 2. So what I haven't told anyone is that I actually have a Warhammer 40k channel. It's quite small, and I mentioned this last night in chat. We started doing like a podcast, and we were doing basically our pilot episode, our first episode for the podcast, and we had like a 2-hour recording, and for some reason the entire audio just died. It got corrupted midway. So we're gonna have to do the whole thing again tomorrow, which is a pain in the ass. So I'm gonna play Space Marine 2 as well when it comes out on my Warhammer channel. I might link it to you guys when it comes out. Triple the material drops, that sounds good. Well, it is good. Just give people what they want. I can't understand why games... Well, actually I can understand why games do that, but they should just give people what they want. Like, works really well with Helldivers. So I wish more people would just bring things in that one direction. You finished Elden Ring DLC? I haven't even finished Elden Ring. I'll be really honest, I didn't even finish Elden Ring. I like the game. What happened actually? Let me think. Because I really like the game, what happened? Oh yeah. So yeah, that was back when I was in Hong Kong, right? So I got Elden Ring, and then I got to the part like even before Renella. What's her name? The witch boss, the second boss. And I had to move, so that got interrupted. And I got really distracted as well in Elden Ring. I basically went around doing every single thing. I went around doing every single thing except for the bosses. And I managed to get myself the, what's it called? The great staff that works off strength, but the weapon art shoots the magic missiles. Yeah, I was basically maining that and a barricade shield, the one with the spikes. That I got off an archer giant, I think. Oh yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. I need to reinstall the game right now because it's really funny because the main thing that's really holding me back from playing games right now is my lack of SSD space. I can show you guys how bad it is right now. Let me open up the folder. Yeah, let me show you guys. It's gotten a little bit better because I deleted a bunch of things. I moved a bunch of things to my cloud drive. But that's not optimal because sometimes you need to grab stuff immediately. You don't want to download. So yeah, I'm really running out of space. I have 76 gigabytes free on my main drive, which is kind of like a bare minimum of what you need because you need to run VaM. When you open up VaM, it basically instantly eats up 50 gigabytes. I have 3 left on another hard drive. I have 37 left on a second hard drive, and like just a tiny breath of life left on my third hard drive. So I need to grab myself like a new NVMe, and otherwise I have to start uninstalling things to get games on. Yeah, this is very suboptimal, some people might say. Oh no, Chemist TC, hey, what's up? What's that vomit emoji, man? What's that all about? That's in relation to my hard drive space or my avatar? What's going on? Yeah, that's that's not very optimal. So what I need to do is to get some wait for a sale for NVMe because it's quite expensive here in New Zealand with the taxes and everything. Or try and find a friend who's visiting like Japan or Hong Kong or something, or Taiwan, and just have them smuggle back like a NVMe, like preferably a 2 terabyte one. Oh yeah, that is completely disgusting. I am on my last ropes. I was really happy for about 3 months with my hard drive situation, and then I downloaded a bunch of model packs, and then I reinstalled VaM and everything. I've got 2 versions of VaM running, due to one being my creator, creator VaM installation, and the other one is my actual gameplay installation. So all that space basically disappeared within like a space of 3 months. Yeah, I can't find where all my like random files are. I think it's just it's not even one large file, just like a whole bunch of small files taking up space. And then there's VaM, and I don't want to touch VaM because VaM is, you know, my main thing, right? So that has to be there, and that's going to take up about 1 terabyte altogether, which is quite small considering a lot of things. But it's just like a bunch of models, Koikatsu, Honey Select, a bunch of models, a lot of models, my past projects, and that's mainly it. And I guess I have a few games installed like Monster Hunter and Armored Core and all that, but that's only really about 500 gigabytes? No, it's more like 400, 300 gigabytes. I don't really have a lot of games installed. So yeah, so my plan right now for First Ascendant is to uninstall Helldivers. I need to uninstall Helldivers and then install First Ascendants, and I'll try the game out this coming week. I'd say maybe on a, let's see, what's my schedule like? What's my work schedule like? I'm trying to balance IRL with this. Maybe on a Friday? Probably on a Friday. So next week there would be 5 days of streaming, so 3 days of just short gaming, maybe 1 to 2 hour gaming sessions, and then 2 more podding streams on the weekends. Helldivers kind of fell off. I just stopped playing it. Did something happen to Helldivers? I'm not sure. I know there was a lot of complaints about a balance dev that nobody seems to like. What was the name, like Boris or something? It kept nerfing weapons, so people just didn't like it. I thought the PSN incident was over. I think that there's some people who are not able to install the game still because Sony banned them from installing the game. But I don't think people need to register on PSN anymore. But I can understand if people avoid the game now due to that incident just purely because of Sony. It just leaves a bad taste. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Sony just shit the bed with that one. Well, what a waste, right? Like, can't they just get that one thing right? I feel like that did have an impact. But it's probably like a bunch of other different things. Like for me personally, right? I kind of stopped playing because I like playing on Helldive difficulty. Like, if you can do your hardest difficulty, then you should play that because it's more fun. The challenge is fun for me. But on that Helldive difficulty, it's just not as fun as like level 7 or level 6 with the people. Like the people are a lot more chill with level 6, 7 difficulty. They just do around doing like some roleplay shit. They do emotes. You can tell from the way that they move and the way that they support each other, they're just a lot more chill. But when you do Helldive 9, like suddenly everyone is just really sweaty. Like everyone will be like insulting each other on voice chat. They'll be like, oh, why are you following me? And I'm like, well, you see there's 3 stalkers following you, dumbass, so I'm trying to peel them off you kind of situations. So and it just kind of get a little bit repetitive. Yeah, there wasn't really a lot of new content. Another game, oh, I actually need to write this down. Another new game that I actually do want to look at is Earth Defense Force 6 that came out. I saw like a few VTubers doing like a promotion there. I think Gura and Iris, they were doing a promotion for that game. I need to write this down. And Earth Defense Force is a game that I actually did want to get into a little bit previously, because it's like Helldivers, except the graphics is bad, the physics is a lot worse, but the gameplay is a lot funnier, and the weapons that you get is just stupid. It's just hilarious. just massive overkill. The game is a lot campier, and I feel like it's going to be less sweaty because of that. So that's a game I'm gonna try out as well. Mordhau? What's Mordhau? What's Mordhau? It reminds me of Mordheim, but is that like Chivalry? Is that like what's it called? Kingdom Come? No, Bannerlord? Just by appearance, it looks more like Chivalry. More technical. Ah, okay, I see. I do like the aesthetics of the armor. And I'm be like, did you know about the history of this armor? This oh, this is very good. This great helm and when it's used and how it's constructed. I don't know like a huge amount about armor, but I love Total War games. So just by osmosis, I learned a little bit about it. I can clearly like look at a piece of armor and just be like, okay, this guy's from Eastern Europe. That's Hungarian, that's Milanese, that's German, that's French, that kind of stuff. So on one of the screenshots, right? I'll be like looking at me like, oh yeah, that's a Conquistador helm. Or the guy in the background, that's a Hungarian Eastern European helm. That kind of thing. Mordhau was supposed to be serious, but the players decided it will not, and they added surfing on shield. That's awesome. I feel like you could have like the best of both worlds, right? Like, I'm not sure how the game actually is, but they could really just keep the realism in and then make it like a skill tree and then put like the unrealistic showboating skills at the end of the tree. Like as a little bonus. Can you unscrew your pommel and just throw it at people with like the meme where you unscrew the pommel and end them rightly? Oh, that's good. Yeah. They obviously watch Skyrim then. It's good that they know these memes. Yeah, that's a good indication. I'm looking through the game, looks quite good. So I'd probably play around Bannerlord first because a friend gifted me Bannerlord. I just haven't had the space to install it, and I think it was in beta for some while. So I think it's out of beta now, so I will try that. Oh yeah, that's yeah, you can grip your sword by the blade and hit armor people with a guard to do more damage. Yeah, that's called overhanding, right? Where you basically grip the blade and then use the hilt as a mace. Because I know all of this because I had like a mind to start doing HEMA, and then COVID hit, and then I did like more research, and obviously in Asia there's like not much of a HEMA community. There's like a ton of in Asia there's like a bunch of like martial arts community and all that, but there wasn't really much of a HEMA community, and I don't think they appreciate like back when I was in Hong Kong, right, before COVID hit, there was the whole riot thing going on, so I don't think they appreciate like a guy walking around with like a full suit of armor with like a blunt sword. But now I'm back in New Zealand, I'm just gonna take a look around again, but then again, it's a bit of a niche thing. Maybe if I get reassigned to like Australia or something, then there's more of a humor community there. But I guess it's more like man versus spider. Jokes aside, like man in armor versus giant Australian spiders. That's actually pretty epic. Can you imagine like a Starship Trooper game? Like a medieval like Starship Trooper game where there's like alien bugs, but it's like medieval. So it's like a bunch of dudes in armor like killing giant bugs. It's just Warhammer at that point, right? Oh, and the game have great physics, like your sword can slide into your enemy sword. Okay, so that's actually a good thing because way back when they did the like historical fighting, a lot of the fighting really was just sliding the blade into like a weak spot. So a lot of them was just a guy catching a blade and then sliding the blade into like a neck joint or something because you cannot pierce plate armor. Or even like a coat of plates. It's really tough, so you just have to get them by the joints. And a lot of times it just devolves into wrestling and then the guy pulling out a dagger and then just shoving it through some guy's helmet. So if they do have that in the game, if that's implemented well, as long as the blade, like the one thing I really hate is when the sword just goes magically through plate armor. So if they have like, if they implement stuff like where the blade will deflect off the breastplate and like maybe there's like a shot trap or like a trap where it just accidentally slides into an armpit, that would be amazing. Dying said, what do you think about the Assassin's Creed in Japan with the Black Samurai? Oh man, I want to say so many things, but it's gonna get my ass demonetized. Well, I'm not even monetized, it's just gonna get my ass banned. Like, who's gonna monetize a small ass channel like mine? I'm just gonna get fucking banned. They'll just be like, nah, bitch. That one, oh man, I feel like Ubisoft did everything wrong with that one. They brought in the wrong sources. They brought in the wrong sources because there is no proper source. It's not backed by history or anything. Even the merch is bad. The way that they presented like the whole racial thing is bad. The merchandise is bad. They just went around copying other people's insignias. They did like the whole Amazon thing where the collector's edition is just random stuff that that company made. It's just copied on One Piece. So the entire thing is just a bad feel, right? It's just bad optics. And the whole thing came after like Johnny Somali as well. It's just so bad. It's just everything about it is bad. Like, and not even that. Like, imagine if it's just like a normal game. That aside, like the whole like shit pile aside, you have to remember that this is like $130 game. So it's like a whole shit pile that is just built on a manure truck. And it's like, if you ever watch Back in the Future, where they've got that manure truck that keeps crashing into Bud, and the truck of manure just dumps onto his car, and it's like a running joke in Back in the Future where that guy always eats shit. It's like that with Ubisoft, where Ubisoft is just a manure truck, and that pile of shit is just constantly dumping onto the consumer, and some people just keep eating it. Yeah, and I wish that they actually make a proper Assassin's Creed game. There was so much potential without going in that one direction. I believe if they just get rid of like what they did, like with the pandering, you know what? Just pander the other way. Like have like sexy ninja bitches. Like just do like a stellar blade, and have like a really based samurai guy. Like have a really based samurai guy. The game could like go really well. I think the game could go really hard. Just turn it into like Metal Gear Revengeance. I don't think that's an actual word. Just turn it into like Metal Gear Revengeance with like the slicing system and put into Assassin's Creed. just do what's it called? Sekiro with like Metal Gear Revengeance, whatever it's called. And just call it Assassin's Creed 6. Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. Oh, that's a game I need to play. I need to write that down. Because that's such a good game. I just don't have the hard drive space. Yeah, I mean, they could just do that so easily. There are like so many easy W's to get with a Japanese themed games, because like you've got the waifus, you've got the ninjas, you've got like the crazy shit around it. You can even do like a China or Korean DLC and just mix things together to make a lot of cool shit. But no, they just went about it with the wrong way possible. Like there's firearms in that period, I believe, when Oda Nobunaga was around. I think Japan had like the greatest concentration of firearms. So you could even add like guns in the game really naturally. And have you guys watched Shogun? You've watched Shogun, or you can look up clips of Shogun. There was like that one scene where the main female character was trying to leave a castle. And this is a really cool scene where she was trying to leave the castle and then the guards weren't letting her. And there was this like Chad as fuck samurai leading the guard. He's like the honor guard guy. And as they were walking out, the militia, the city militia was trying to stop them. And then she was just like, oh, can you kill them for me, please? And then the honor guard just walks out, does like a bow, and it just annihilates two dudes instantly. Like, that's the kind of guy that I want to see in Assassin's Creed 6. Like, almost like a samurai who's kind of like Master Chief. Like, super fucking honorable, super good at his job. Who's like, almost like a stereotype in a really cool way. Who's like, you know, and he just fucks people up. I don't play Assassin's Creed, so there's a story still going. We have a lot of story on the AC that not really ended, but we never had what come after, like the present story, for example. Yeah, there is so much they could have done. I feel like with this Assassin's Creed, like before you say, it's true, right? You could have just had a naturally progressing game. I think one of the issues is that they keep trying to do the whole subverting expectations thing that really came around after Game of Thrones. Like, people, for some reason, they start writing good stories. Like, even though a story is kind of predictable, you can do it in a really well-written way. And I feel like Final Fantasy XIV is kind of like that. Like, you don't need to subvert everyone's expectations. Kind of like a really, I won't say cliche, but like quite a basic, streamlined story about a good guy and bad guy, and have really well-written characters without the writers trying to, you know, quote-unquote subvert everyone's expectations. Just becomes like a cop-out, and it feels like they're trying to do something that they're not skilled enough to do. Like, it's like the whole Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah, I mean, they're just shooting themselves in the foot, I feel like. They could have just done like a really awesome Japanese guy and then save the African guy for like an African expansion, because like if they really do want to pander to like that direction, they could easily do an Assassin's Creed in Africa, where there is actual history and there's tribal infighting. You've got like Shaka Zulu and all that. And then you've got the Europeans coming in. And you could introduce a character really, like, very, very naturally that way. it could be entirely natural and it could be set up in such a way where it's really hype. But no, they just want to just cash out immediately at the worst time possible. And I think at the end of the day, it's just a cash out. It's just a cop-out, isn't it? Because if you look at what they did with the merchandise, they didn't even design their own merchandise. They just, I guess they off-sourced it to another company and they just literally copied the whole design, the sword from One Piece. And then instead of coming up with their actual emblems, I believe in the source book, they just copied like a, they copied a rifle corps, like a casual rifle corps emblem in Japan, which got them into copyright trouble. And instead of doing any proper research, I think they sourced like a bunch of Wikipedia articles that was written by some random dude who was using the book to source Wikipedia articles, like using Wikipedia articles as a source, and then the Wikipedia article uses the book as a source. It just went around in circular. So I feel like in this case, they kind of started swimming upstream. They could have like swam downstream and taken a very easy W. They could have just made a game that is to the market, you know, for keeping to the flow of the market, and then push their $130 game. And I feel like that is very palatable, even if it's more expensive. But no, they basically are now trying to sell a $130 game in the worst marketing possible. And I don't know why they would do that. Like, you would have to imagine that there would be some kind of resistance, right? If you try to sell a $130 game, so they would try to at least give people what they want. Like, it's the path of least resistance. It's the path that makes sense, but no, they're not doing that. Aye. Yeah, so I don't think I will be playing that unless it's like a massive train wreck to the point where it might be fun to just play and laugh at it, but not $130. If it's like Helldivers at $40, I'll do that, but not like $130. Like, you know, you're getting the dumpster truck, like the shit truck, dumped on top of you. Like, no one's even gonna play that for a meme. Like, maybe if you're a big streamer or something, you might play that as a meme just to laugh at it. But doing it, like the price point, doing it this way is just a disservice. Because no one's going to want to play it, even ironically. And there'll be a ton of other nicer games that'll be coming out. Oh, I'd rather play, you know what? Talking about like a nice price perspective, like a nice, light, cheap game that everyone likes to play and watch. Vampire Survivors. And maybe Hades? But I've watched some of the gameplay, it looks a bit too complicated for me. I don't like simple, like quote-unquote simple games with too many mechanics. I like simple games that are simple. Like Vampire Survivors. Boy, oh boy. I got a DM. Let me double check. What is this? Wait, why are they chopping down a tree, Kuro? Why are there Ninja Turtles? I think that's a bigger question. Is this like Soul Calibur, where people can just dress up as whatever they want? Oh. It would be really cool if they do like a blood sports thing where people can just jump in and spectate in the Coliseum. As like an esports thing. You sit in the Coliseum. It'll be kind of fun. Well, anyways. that's going to be about it for this stream. I think it's good to catch up with you guys. It's almost 3 hours. And I'd rather go to bed again. Getting a little bit tired up. So there's going to be more streaming tomorrow, mainly for the porting. Let me double check what I wrote down. Yeah, so for tomorrow, I'll be prepping the clothing. And I will be piecing everything together. It might be a longer stream, just purely because of how clothing importing works, and because VaM lags a lot. So depending on how that goes, it might be like another 3-hour stream. Or maybe more. I might have to just, what's it called? I might have to split that off into 2 streams. So tomorrow I'll be online around the same day. And then I'll post my schedule for next week. My weekly schedule for next week. Yeah. It must be late for you too. I think it's like, what, almost 10 p.m. for you? Yeah. Well, anyways, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be on at the same time. I'll be doing clothing in the final steps. Thank you for coming. Good night. And I'll be ending the stream now.